Hey everyone, Caleb here, Pro Touring. So this time we're going to do something a little bit different with the smaller class dual cab utes. This is a new model Isuzu D-Max and it is an extra cab. We don't often do extra cabs, but Dave came to us with this as his little retirement present, and he's kitted it out already with a Lovells GVM upgrade. He's delivered it to us to carry out the rest of what we would normally do at Pro Touring Concepts. So canopy, bar work, UHF spotlights, a few interior bits and pieces, the whole electrical system in the back, carpet internals, tow bar, towing accessories, your red arc tow control and all that sort of stuff. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to talk a little bit about payload, pricing, expected tow capacities and stuff like that on the smaller dual cab utes. So we'll start off with our payload. Typically the dual cab utes range from between 2.7 to 3.1 tonne once we are finished with them, depending on accessories. So what we have to keep in mind is your rear axle weight capacities and the GVM upgrades that are available for these dual cabs, and depending on where they're actually going in what state of Australia. So typically for these guys, we normally run the ARB BP51 kit, which on average pushes your D-Max, your Hilux, your Ranger to around the 3.4, 3.5 tonne mark. These kits do not maintain brake towing capacity, so whatever we upgrade our GVM by comes off your brake tow. So if the factory GVM for this D-Max was 3 tonne and we've pushed it to 3.5 tonne, you can now only tow 3 tonne. The standard rated brake tow capacity is 3.5 tonne on these, but if you exceed your factory GVM by X amount, that comes off your brake tow. So you can essentially carry 3.5 tonne on here now, but you can now then only tow 3 tonne. So the expected payload for these style of utes is around the 500-600 kilo mark, depending on what goes on the car. If you guys want to put roof tents and tinnies and stuff on the top, you're going to be very close to your rear axle load. I know we did a Hilux a few months ago. It with a roof tent on top of it, it came in at around 3.1 tonne and had about 200 to 300 kilos left on the rear axle load limit. So you guys just have to be mindful when choosing a smaller class dual cab ute. If you want a canopy and a tray and all the goodies like this electrical system, if you want to build it as a solitary camping machine, you're not going to have much capacity left on your rear axle load. You'll still be within your GVM spec of an upgraded GVM, but just keeping in mind your rear axle capacity is quite critical. So that 500 to 600 kilo mark is what you will have remaining of payload on these style of dual cab utes. Next, I'll run through some pricing. Obviously, vehicle specific, like every manufacturer has a different price point. The D-Max you can sort of pick up for around the 50 to 60 grand mark. The Hilux, you're more or less your 60, 70 to 80 grand mark, and as well as your Ranger. The Ranger and Hilux are still both in the upper spec limit for the pricing. Mind you, some of the X-Terrain D-Max is up there as well. When we get the dual cab ute, we obviously do all of our normal bits and pieces to it, pull the tub off, strip the park sensors out, the reverse camera. We add the GVM kit, we then add the Norworld canopy or tray, all the other bits and pieces. We're sort of sitting around the 150 to 170 grand mark as a complete car, plus on-road costs. So if the car is under that 100 grand threshold mark, your stamp duty and stuff is quite a bit less. You're expected between the 3 to 4 grand mark for rego and on roads. All of our 300 series cars, if the purchase price of the car is over 100 grand, you're sort of closer to that 7 or 8 grand for on-road costs. That 150 to 170k mark for the dual cab ute, that's going to get you a package. This one's a little bit stripped back. We don't have a roof rack on it. There's no snorkel on it. A few little bits and pieces weren't done to the interior, so this one's sort of a little bit closer to the 140, 150 mark. And then your Hilux is, 170. 180. We used to, a few years back, we used to be able to do a whole Hilux build for around the 145 to 150, but just prices over the last couple of years for everything has gone up. So expect that 150 to 175k mark for the Hilux Ranger and even the D-Max here. Towing capacity for these cars, Now, nearly every one of the smaller dual cab utes now come out with a brake tow capacity of 3.5 tonne. What we sort of feel is that, yeah, that's all well and good. They can tow the 3.5 tonne, but if the car's not at around 3.5 tonne, it can feel a little bit sketchy. It's going to be completely relying on your braking control unit in the car that controls the van to stop, the sway control in the van as well. Adding a little bit more weight to these cars does make them feel a little bit more sure-footed. They travel a little bit better. They sit on the highway better, especially when towing 2.5 to 3.5 tonne. But like I just mentioned before, most of these utes have got GVM upgrades, meaning that you're going to exceed the factory GVM and that you should only really be sticking around a hybrid, a 16 to 19 foot sort of size, max of around 3 tonne. So there is quite a huge range of vans and hybrids in that category across Australia that sort of come in at around the 2.4 tonne dry and 3.1, 3.2 full of water and all your bits and bobs inside. So it is a consideration for the families or solo travellers or whatever you want to do. If you're looking at going down the path of a smaller class dual cab ute, that you need to cap it at that 19 foot. You're better off with a 16 or 17 foot hybrid sort of size, a little bit more streamlined, not quite as wide either. It follows the track a little bit better of the car. You're not busting the motor off its head as well. They are typically a smaller, like a 4 or 5 pot diesel. This day and age though, they're doing really well. They're extremely impressive. The temperatures, the gearing, you can run bigger tyres on them. This one's got a 275 70/17, so it's like almost a 33-inch tyre. And it drives amazing. It cruises absolutely beautifully. There's a lot of weight on it. We're just about to actually get this weighed in the next couple of hours, so we'll be able to actually report back in the description about how much this actually weighed with front and rear axle loads. So yeah, towing capacity, try and cap it to 3 tonne or 2.5 to 3 tonne with this smaller class dual cab. The Ford Ranger has got the bigger V6. It seems to be able to pull your 3 tonne, 3.5 tonne van a lot easier than the other utes. Reliability, questionable. All I can say is whenever we've done any of our remote trips, the only cars that you see on the back of trucks is either Ford Rangers or Land Cruisers. Now Land Cruisers primarily because there's so bloody many of them up there. Back in the day, the Ford Rangers did seem to have a lot of electrical issues down low. I'm assuming they've made that a lot better now. They've perfected a lot of the old flaws in their design. D-Maxes and the Hiluxes were always proven to be a pretty solid little competitor up in the top end, out west on the islands with water ingress and stuff like that. So I can't comment as far as the next gen Ranger. We are looking to build one though ourselves and put it through its paces. There's nothing like first-hand experience as we've found owning all the cars that we do. We prefer to build them, really nut out what works and what doesn't, how they perform off-road with a lot of weight, how they perform towing, what fails on them. That's the biggest thing for us, is what fails on them and what we can expect to fail for you guys out there on the road. It's a big thing for us. We release 2 cars a week out into the wild essentially, so we need to be able to know what to be able to tell you guys, what to expect for maintenance and stuff like that. That sort of is a bit of a breakdown on pricing, GVM and towing capacity. I feel that we're going to see a lot more of these smaller style dual cab utes hitting the market based on ability and pricing. Obviously the pricing on these has gone up too. The pricing on the bigger cars, the 79s, the chopped 300s, they're all right up there too. So the average price of a chopped 300 for us at the moment is around the 310, 320 grand, all inclusive as a full kit. So it is a beast. They're an absolute weapon off-road touring icon. There's a lot more room in them and pulling power and stuff like that. They will still get the job done, but you cannot tow your bigger 3.5 to 4 tonne vans. It's just out of the question. Don't even go there. So it's just something to keep in mind. There is plenty of room in the back. This one being an extra cab, obviously not so much, but your dual cab D-Max or Hilux is sort of similar to a 79 series in regards to the rear room. A little bit more leg room, but there is no more extra width when you're comparing the models. There's just a lot more smarts and niceties inside. Wheels and tyres, I'll just sort of run through a couple of things while we're talking about it. Wheels and tyres, typically used to be 16s. You can still run 16s on certain models, but the average rim size now is a 17 inch. 17 inches do look a little bit nicer, but the whole reason for that is to improve brake caliper clearance. We can't get away with having only 2 to 3 mil of clearance. You get too much stuff caught between the caliper and the rim, scorching the inside of the rim out, and eventually just fatigues and cracks your wheel. We've had it happen to us firsthand, so we know that having caliper clearance is quite important. So running a 17 inch on a D-Max Hilux Ranger works really well. There's a lot of styles out there now in the correct offsets and load ratings. And a 275/70/17 tyre between a 265/70 or a 275 or a 285. The Ranger fits a 285/70 a lot easier. But it also comes down to independent state authorities when it comes to legalities and tyre size, lift sizes and all that sort of stuff. Typically, we can get away with a 2-inch lift and a 1 size taller tyre. For most states and areas, and it looks good. You don't need this car any higher than what it is. It's extremely practical, easy to get in and out of. Like I just said, you'll be able to get this thing anywhere in Australia the way that it sits. On the back, we've got the Norweld aluminium deluxe base with a 1740 deluxe light canopy. So the base is a full-time build package. We're at about 2040 length on the base, and this is a 1740 long deluxe light package. So there's no draw on this side. As I was just saying before, we're trying to keep the weight down to increase payload on these things. This does give you a lot of usable space here. Sometimes with the smaller utes, when you've got a draw here and no room at the back to put anything big and bulky, it's quite annoying, to put it frank. So you just need a lot of bulk space just here, and this is so versatile. You can put containers in here, you can put heaps of those soft boss or drifter bags in here as well, just stack stuff up, or another fridge if you really wanted to. Two toolboxes, front and rear. The flared Norweld guards. We've also put the Norweld central locking kit in this, so that typically the Norweld the kit does come with a separate remote. We've got the Redarc 2000 watt inverter, BMS Rogue unit, additional BCDC 1225 core. We're running about 55 amps of DC charge with a 200 amp lithium. Around the back, we've got the reverse blind spot monitors and a Heyman Reese X bar as well. Safety Dave camera, 2 Safety Daves, that's standard on all of our stuff. Some little rear camp lights, Heyman Reese X bar, 50 amp Anderson plug there, the 2-channel Safety Dave plug for your caravan, 12-pin plug as well, massive pull-out drawer, a few bits and pieces from the build in here, a pump-up kit from ARB, a 25-litre water can there. This one has a 43-litre water storage unit underneath the deck as well, so with that one and that, you're around that 65-litre mark for fresh water. So this is a very, very popular little setup, this one. It sort of allows a lot more flow for longer items and stuff inside a canopy of this size. Being that it is an extra cab means that we can get away with running the 1740 on this car. You can run this size canopy on a dual cab, but you're gonna put a lot of weight behind that rear axle, so we'd prefer to stick to a compact size canopy on a dual cab at 1500, but this is 1740, so we do have a little space at the back here for another fridge or camp chairs or anything like that. We've got the pull-out drawer, the table with nap, and a big clear view drop slide on this side. Dave has opted to run his old school angle, still going strong as they do. All the Redarc gear on this side of the panel, it's quite easy to access. We don't often do drop slides, so it's quite easy to be able to see it all and get access to it. Your fuel filler gets relocated up the front here, and that's pretty much it for this build. So in terms of level of complexity, this one is quite simple. We haven't really gone over the top with it, but it's got everything that Dave needs for what he's going to be doing and moving into the future. So anyway, I hope that's covered a few things for you guys in regards to the smaller class dual cabs. We do get a lot of inquiry about it, and we thought that piecing this video together is going to help some of your questions out. So if you've got anything else, please give us a buzz, drop a comment below. We're pretty active on the YouTube channel and getting back to inquiries and questions. So cheers guys.